Hey, hey.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, real good.
You're looking good. And you just told me that you have your new exercise regime. I'm so excited to hear.
Yeah, I got to say that thing, like I got locked in immediately, which is the
Oculus and Supernatural, which I've been using. And then I'm not sure if we mentioned this before, but I don't work out, and I found this Supernatural virtual reality, and I've been doing it, and it's a workout that I can stick with, and it's been so great. And I've been doing it for like a month. And then when Phil and family came over on Easter, he's like, I want to try that Oculus. So he tried it, and what'd you think?
I was hooked. Yeah, that is such a great way to work out, man. Yeah, and that's what I always thought. Like, I was never a runner. I never like looking forward to going to the gym or any of that kind of stuff. But I always thought, like, well, if it's something you enjoy, like roller skate, I used to love to roller skate or bike riding, things like that. So that's where this kind of takes me. I don't feel like I'm exhausted. Yeah, and I'm sweating like crazy when I'm done. But when you're doing it, I'm so in the zone, like I'm so into it at the time. So I was telling you before, this morning I performed Swan Lake.
What were you doing this morning? He goes, well, I just performed Swan Lake. Because they have all these different workouts. They have musicals. I did Encanto. Oh my gosh, Encanto is so much fun. But I haven't even seen Swan Lake. I can't wait till we're done recording. I'm running to my Oculus. Yeah. I want to perform Swan Lake.
So yesterday I did like my regular, whatever it was. I did like some sort of classic rock one. And I'm like, I'll see because when me and my wife were cycling through, we saw that. And it's like, orchestra music. That seems a little strange, like to be doing this to. So I'm like, I'll give it I'll see what it is, And like last night, I'm like, I already did my workout. And I'm like, I'll just give it a try. It's probably like very flowing and easy. It was like, dun, 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 dun. I was like, oh my God, I couldn't keep up. I'm like, I'm gonna pass out.
I turned into a ballerina on Broadway.
Well, I remember how Shannon was when we were at your house.
Oh,
she was kind of
awesome.
Totally into it, flowing. And like, that's not, and watching her, I'm like, oh, it's fun. She's getting into it or whatever. Cause I was just kind of standing there whipping my arms up and down.
I know.
The key is to kind of catch that groove, not to kind of get it. You're kind of stepping in and flowing. Like that's where the flow comes in.
And following those
the trails.
The trails, right. Yeah.
So I do that a lot. So not only is it kind of giving you that great workout, it is extremely good for your hand-eye coordination, because what you're doing is you're watching and you're matching up the colors and kind of where each hand has to go, and you're always looking at not what's coming, but what's coming after that too. So like in this hand, one's coming on the left, one's coming on the right, and then the left one's coming again, and so you're constantly like, going with the one and then the next. But yeah, that was super intense. And then last night I'm like, oh my God, I did the first song of Swan Lake, and I'm like, I'll have to do this in the morning. It's 27 minutes long. It's like,
so he jumped right into the medium workouts. I started with low intensity and worked my way up after like 2 weeks. And then I started at Encanto, I think was my first medium. And it was like, so it's like these balloons come flying at you in virtual reality. So everything looks pretty real, like 98% real. And it's coming at you and you're hitting them with these like lightsabers or batons. Yeah. So you're just smashing balloons, and but it looks so real and it's so fun. And at first I was doing what you were doing, just kind of standing, but then you get into like really moving your body and really extending. And once you get the basics down, then you can really get into it and get the full, like now like the instructors are always like, whatever they say, like tense your abs. And I was not doing it. I was just like, oh, crazy trying to hit those balloons. Now I'm like tensing my abs, jumping up, ducking then you like duck under these triangles that come at you and you forget you're working out. That's what, see, Phil and I are the same. Like, I don't like to run because I'm so bored. I just like, I know I'm working out. I'm trying to get a workout in. I'm not that type of person. I like to just have fun, like roller skate or dance or work up a sweat that way. And this, you forget you're in that world until like about the 9th song. And you're like, okay, I'm over this. When's the cool down, champion?
Athlete.
He keeps calling you. So there's a virtual instructor that's in there too. And he keeps saying, come on, champion. I love when they say, come on. I'm always like, all right, I'm in. It's like really hype you up.
That is a lot of fun, I gotta say, because you kind of get lost in it, and then it's just like, okay, we're done, and it's like, holy cow, that was 20 minutes or 15 minutes or whatever it is, and yeah, man, it's awesome. I love it. look forward to the next workout now.
See, you get into it and then you look forward to it. I'm looking forward to it too, because you're moving your whole body and you actually break a sweat, which I don't do very easily for some reason, because I don't work out, I don't push myself. And you just, the music and you're singing and moving and it's fun. You're like looking forward to the next one.
Yeah, and I've heard about it for so long, but man, until you try it and do
it.
it, then, I mean, man, oh man, as soon as I tried it, I was hooked. I thought, I can't not buy this now as soon as I tried it, because it's one, I mean, not only is it fun and you kind of get involved and into it, but two, I can do it at any time. I don't need expensive running shoes. Like I did it in my bare feet the other day. I did it in socks. I did it in shoes. It doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter if you're not in shoes. I could do it in regular shorts and a shirt. Like it doesn't matter what you're, I mean, you want to have workout clothes on, but it's like, it's just so easy to like just get up and go, as opposed to like, all right, now I got to put on shorts and a shirt. Is it cold outside? Is it going to rain? Let me get my jogging shoes out, all that stuff. It's
Drive
like,
somewhere.
Pop that on and I'm ready to go in 5 minutes. I could be busting balloons to sweat like.
No, but I'm glad we're talking about it, because I mean, a lot of people listening probably want to lose some pounds, and this is such a great way. Like I said, Phil and I are doing it because it's fun and it's just a great way to burn calories. And if you're looking to lose some pounds, this is a great way. So today we thought we would talk about different tips and tricks to eating this way, cooking this way, because one thing that we have to do, or we want to be doing when we eat this way, is we have to cook. So when we cook this way, we're cooking all of our own components. So it's kind of a lot of cooking, because when you cook your own food, you know what's in your food. You can control everything that goes into it. There's no hidden ingredients. There's no sugar. We don't cook with oil. You control the salt, so you are going to have to be doing some cooking, but that doesn't mean cooking has to be a chore. And even if you don't like to cook, we try to keep our recipes as simple as possible, but we do cook the components. So we, instead of just buying meat that you throw on the grill, we're actually making the crumbles. We're actually making the lentils or the tofu, whatever it is, for like the meaty texture, that protein that we want. We're not just buying a cheese sauce, we're making the cheese sauce. We're not just buying a store-bought sauce full of sugar and oil. We are making one that we control everything. And then, like we learned about in the second episode, we use minimally processed foods like tortillas, miso, tahini, all these things. But for the most part, you're going to be doing some cooking. So I hear this all the time. I don't have time to cook. I mean, my friends all say that to me, like, I'm so busy, I don't have time to cook, but we have to cook. So you're going to have to make time. I mean, yeah, it's really easy to pick up the phone, order a pizza, go through the drive-through. It's really, really tempting, especially when you're tired and you're hungry. Now, when your hunger kicks in, that's the only thing you want to do is pick up the phone or go to a drive-through.
I think that's part of the problem is so many people do that. It's like, I don't have time to cook, so I'm just going to go out and eat. And what are you eating? You're eating the grease and the meat and the cheese, and all that stuff. There's not a lot of great healthy options out there. Although there are more lately for sure, and there's more coming, which is great. But in the end, I mean, I think if people don't like to cook or don't think they like to cook, then that's what they're doing. It's just an easy way to go out and just grab stuff quick,
Right. And we talked about this in the last episode, how they've made it, or we've made it, our society has made it so easy to pick up this terrible food that's doing nothing for us except creating disease really quickly. It's really convenient and it's really cheap if you think about fast food or convenience store items. And that's why we fall into it. And that's why we have this problem in our country. We're all getting heavier and sicker. We are. It's just a fact. And we said this quote last time, but we both love it. If you don't make time for your wellness, you will be forced to make time for your illness. Every meal counts. You're either helping to ward off disease or you're helping to create disease. That's just how it works. So we want to cook for ourselves. We want to know what's in our food, and we want to make our health a priority.
So right when I started, that was kind of a big thing. I do like to cook, as you know, but in the end, you're right. It's those components. So I was so used to just going out and grabbing a cheese, grabbing a meat, grabbing a main dish or a bag of chips or whatever it is. So that's where kind of, I think some people may get discouraged or feel overwhelmed, where it's like, oh, I got to make the meat, then I got to make the meal, then I got to make the cheese sauce. And that's why I think this type of show is so important, is this is what makes things easy. I wish, a lot of this is just we learned on our own. Like as you go, it's like you learn trips. You learn
You take trips.
tricks and tips along the way that make things easier. I mean, that's part of what makes this whole experience of going plant-based kind of a little bit more doable or enjoyable, rather than feeling like everything's such a burden to have to do. And once you get into it, it's like, well, it's really not that bad. Making a dressing, like before I went plant-based, I mean, I would make vinegar and oil dressing. I never made like any kind of I never thought to make like ranch, or why would I go to the store and buy it? Well, this is like, and I've said this before too, it's almost like Chopped. It's always like a challenge. It's like, how do we make this taste great with this? And that's part of the whole thing with SmartyPlants, is we're doing that and then presenting the final product to make it easier for everybody else.
We're making you look good. You present it to your family and you actually did make it. There's no hat trick here. You actually did make it. Yeah, exactly. So it's just a matter of, just like anything. I'm not a manual person, like reading manuals. When I get a manual, I'm like, oh gosh, I don't even want to. It's such a project. And it's like, I just have a tendency to think things are overwhelming like that. But you just take it one step at a time, and then things become more familiar. And then it's like, oh my gosh, this is so easy. I could build a fan, which is one thing that I remember doing. I had to build a fan in the middle of the night because it's 100 degrees in my bedroom. And the fan that I bought I opened the box, like, I'll just plug this fan in because my air went out. I opened it was in pieces, and I almost had a meltdown over it. But I sat there for a half hour sweating, and I actually built the fan from the manual, but I hated it. And then I was like, that was so easy. I just followed step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm just the type of person that might be a little bit intimidated too by this stuff. Cooking your own components, that just sounds like a lot of cooking. Well, as soon as you get used to it, I mean, I could make the crumbles in my sleep now. Phill and I make so many of these things. I just made the taco crumbles this morning at 8 a.m. We just, what you're doing. And I still have to look at the recipe for some measurements, but you just know the steps and you know how quickly it's going to take, or you know how long it's going to take. It's like, oh, I could knock that out. I could do a quick cheese sauce. I could make a dressing, because you know what you're doing. As soon as the stuff becomes more familiar to you, it will not be that intimidating. Just like anything else, you just make it a priority. Just like the two of us are trying to make our workouts a priority now. It's like, it doesn't come naturally to me to work out. So we're trying.
I never did Swan Lake in my life, but today I was a prima ballerina.
Who knew that would happen? I wish I could have seen that, actually. Did you tape it by chance?
Not a chance.
See that? Yeah, he never knew. So see, you have to just make things a priority and make them fun. Who knew working out could be so much fun? Well, we found it. So I was just thinking that this morning when I was cooking. I was like, I don't know, I was like rinsing some cashews, and I was thinking, this is so fun that we're cooking this way, using all these new spices. And I mean, we've been doing this for years now, but when I'm thinking about new people coming on board, like, think about all the things they're going to be cooking, and the new spices and beautiful vegetables it's spring now. So these vegetables are going to be coming into season. We're going to have asparagus soon, and we're going to be doing all these things with asparagus and ramps. And, then whatever the next thing is for summer, all the summer vegetables and fruits are going to be coming in. And that's what we're doing. We're cooking with the season as well. So we're going to be bringing you, for our meal planners, recipes that are with the season, because we want to be eating those things too. We want a pasta primavera with asparagus. We want pesto with our fresh basil. So that's where this becomes fun. It's not just throwing a steak on the grill and opening a box of mac and cheese. That doesn't sound fun. I want to do fresh vegetables, herbs, spices, beans, lentils, all this good stuff that I'm going to feed my body with. So you really just have to think of it that way. And that's why we're doing this, not only to ward off disease, but because it's fun and it's exciting. And a lot of people are under the impression that this way of eating is expensive, but it really isn't.
No, and I hear a lot of that. I see a lot of that, online as well. I hear it from other people. Oh, it's too. I can't afford to eat like that. And it's certainly just like anything else. That's like saying going out to eat is expensive. Well, not if you go to McDonald's and eat a $1 menu. If you go to wherever, a high-end steak place and get a, $100 steak? Yeah, of course it would be. Same thing here. I can go to a local market and buy a ton of vegetables very inexpensively. You don't have to go to high-end grocery stores and always buy high-end stuff either. But there are some ways, and that's part of what we're doing here today, is to learn how to do some of this stuff to make the dollar last a little bit longer. And I think we do a lot of that, just on a daily basis, as far as, what we do to save money and kind of stretch the dollar.
And think about what this food is. We're eating whole food. So it's beans, rice, vegetables, potatoes. These are all peasant staple foods people have been eating for centuries. This is not the expensive cut, steaks or fish flown in from whoever knows where. These are just the these are just the basic ingredients that we're cooking up in different ways. We're mixing it all up, all the spices, nuts, seeds, veggies, herbs, all of it together to create these delicious dishes. Yes, it's not as inexpensive as running out and buying a pack of ramen noodles. I mean, that college kids eat because it's cheap. No, it's not like that. You're not getting 20 packs of noodles for a dime. You are buying fruits and vegetables, and you kind of already know the cost of fruits and vegetables and canned tomatoes and dried beans and all that stuff. It's nothing fancy. It's nothing shocking or surprising. There are a couple of things when you first start out that you have to pick up, because these are the things that really enhance our food, like nutritional yeast, tahini, tamari, coconut aminos, miso. You might not be familiar with these right now, but these are the things that we cook with. There's like 10 of them, and you'll be using them over and over and over. And you'll see how, like, nutritional yeast gives us a cheesy flavor, and tahini adds a little bit of an oiliness that we like. Tamari adds a little bit of salt. It's stuff like that. And you will get used to using these ingredients. And your first shopping trip, if you're new to all this, might be a little bit more expensive. These are the ingredients that you'll be using all the time. So you're not going to be buying the meats. You're not going to be buying the dairy. You're not going to be buying the oils or the chips or the cookies, or think about all that. All that, if you're really going to jump into this lifestyle, all that's pretty much gone. I mean, yeah, you might buy it for your family members, but think of it that way. You're going to try to cook more this way, or you are going to cook 100% this way, and all that stuff's gone. I mean, meat's expensive. Fish is expensive. Dairy products, cheeses, those are expensive.
Well, if you think about, like, for instance, if I bought like and I'll just make something up here, a pre-made like cheesy potato dish, it's frozen. I can just throw it in the microwave. So I spend $6 on a 3-portion or a 4-portion frozen potato dish or lasagna dish or whatever it is. Let's say lasagna, it's probably better. I come in, I throw it in the microwave. I spent, let's say, $6 on it. I throw it in the microwave, and we each had a portion of lasagna. Well, now if I went and bought my own, okay, I bought a box of noodles that I can maybe make 2 meals out of. I bought, I made a full recipe of this sauce, which I can split and make 2 meals out of. So yeah, in the end, you go down the list. Oh, I made I made beefy crumbles. I made my own cheese sauce. In the end, I might have spent double, but I can make maybe 2 or 3 meals and then still have all the spices left over to make other meals with. So it's not like, well, I only spent $8 on my dinner where you spent 14 or 16 on yours. But in the end, mine stretched longer, and I still had leftover stuff that I'm either eating or using for other stuff as well.
And you'll use all those spices, and you'll use the pasta. You'll use everything for future meals. That's how we cook. We just have all the same stuff that we use. And I mean, we're always adding new things and fun, exciting things, but the staples that I was talking about, you're always going to be using them. So nothing's really going to waste. You're not just eating the one frozen lasagna and it's gone. So it's not expensive. The first shopping trip, if you're not used to having tahini and miso and tamari and nutritional yeast in your pantry, it might be a little bit more, but it won't be. It'll be less in the long run. So having a nicely stocked fridge, freezer, and pantry is really key here. And, it's always great to have food on hand, because it's really easy to get off track if you don't, especially if you have kids and you have things like I do, sometimes have oily popcorn lying around that my daughter loves. I love it too. In a pinch, if I don't have anything, my hand's going into that popcorn bag, so we want to avoid that. So by having lots of fruits, vegetables, fresh herbs, grains, rice, beans, canned tomatoes, nuts, seeds, olives, all this stuff on hand, you're going to be cooking with all this stuff. So, you can come up with lots of different ideas, even last minute when you have things to work with. And it's also nice to have a really nicely stocked spice cabinet. We use a lot of granulated garlic, onion, oregano, cumin, smoked paprika, fennel seeds, white pepper, salt, sea salt, freshly ground black pepper. Just have a nicely stocked cabinet. And then you're going to use those. I mean, Phil and I cook so much, I fly through my spices, but you buy a spice jar and it's going to last you a while, so your initial purchase, yes, but it's going to last you a while. Even the freezer, I love to have things in my freezer that you can just pull out. It's just so nice. I like to have frozen veggies in there. I like frozen fruit. I snack on mangoes, berries, blueberries, dark cherries, edamame. I love having bags of brown rice and quinoa, which you could just easily buy in the frozen food section at the grocery store. Whole wheat pizza crust, pitas, whole wheat tortillas. I put my Ezekiel bread in there, English muffins, and leftovers. Always super, super nice to have in your freezer. So having a plan is really key to this way of eating. Whether you're getting ready for dinner, your week, or planning a specific meal, you have to make time to lay out a plan.
Yeah, that's something that I never really did before I went plant-based. And this was kind of my saving grace. This is one of the kind of the big lessons I learned about eating this way, is to have a plan. Because even now, when I don't, everyone gets busy and you just run out of time on the weekends. And sometimes it's like, all right, well, I didn't have time to prep. I know I'm going to run into trouble during the week. I'm going to not have things to go. I'm going to get hungry. And then it's like, oh, I'm just going to either throw random things together or make bad decisions, in eating, through the week. That's where, like you were saying with the popcorn, that's when you go to the popcorn. It's just an easy, quick thing. Not that I'm doing that. I'm just using that as an example. But just something quick and easy. But having the stuff in the freezer and everything really helps out. But planning ahead was really key for me. You know what I noticed that when I'm at your house, you guys have a lot of stuff just out. You have a lot of vegetables out, you have fruit out, you have greens out, where I do find myself just snacking. It's like, oh, a little bowl of tomatoes. Like, pop a couple of those in my mouth, grab a little pinch of these greens. I was like snacking on things at your house. But we started doing that too. Like I'll keep I love blueberries, and I'll just keep a bowl in the fridge in a bowl right when I open the door. So it's like,
yes.
All right, what do I want to eat? Oh, a handful of blueberries. That would be good. Like, it's right there in front of my face. But we don't keep a lot of stuff out on the counter. I wish we would. Shan doesn't like stuff out on the counter so much, but it does help, because every once in a while she will put stuff out. Grapes. I like cold fruit myself, but she'll put the grapes out, and it's like, you just find yourself snacking on them rather than grabbing chips or crackers or, handful after handful of nuts or whatever it is.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, that's how we're wired. If we see it, we're going to eat it, and that's what we're getting to hear about, having things like ready to go. Because if you have these, chopped up veggies, in your fridge, like I like the baby carrots too, but for hummus, like we were saying, if you have baby carrots or regular carrot sticks already chopped up, celery sticks, whatever it is. I mean, I don't really snack on celery sticks all that much, but I like broccoli and I like cauliflower dipped in hummus or whatever dip I have. If you have it there waiting for you when you're ready to snack, like Phil said, you're going to grab it. If the grapes are washed and in the fridge and ready to go, you're going to grab the grapes. If the blueberries are ready to go, fresh, plump blueberries, yummy, you're going to grab them. You're not going to grab the oily popcorn. But if I have to, I work at home. So if I run down, now it's snack time, I really want to snack, and I see a big head of cauliflower, am I going to stop and chop it up? Nope. Am I going to even wash the carrots and chop those up? No. I don't know, taking the grapes out of a bag and washing, I don't know, it just sounds like a hassle sometimes. I think I'll just go for the popcorn. It's all ready. And all I want is a quick snack. That's where your brain starts to go to. That's the problem. We all fight that. I think we all do.
Yeah.
I also like to have cut up watermelon. If you see a giant watermelon in the fridge, that's a mess. That takes some time. Do you want to cut up a pineapple? Well, I've mastered that beast. That's not hard. But if you see a pineapple with the big head on it, you're going to actually start chopping that up at 2 p.m. just for a little snack. Oh, but if you had it all cleaned and ready to go, doesn't that sound delicious? Juicy pineapple chunks that you could just pop in your mouth instead of the greasy popcorn. Yeah.
that watermelon, that I do that every time. As soon as I get it, and usually I'll buy it and then want a bowl, so I'll cut it up. But I don't just make my bowl, I cut the whole melon up. Now what I'm finding is my son, who never really ate watermelon before, he will be snacking on watermelon because it's already pre-cut into little cubes. He'll just be eating it right out of the thing, or make himself a bowl. You're right. He would. I don't think I've ever seen him cut up a watermelon in his life.
Ooh,
So
no, kids wouldn't
never
do that.
Right. He would never do it. But now that it's there, yeah, he is. So, and he's one that would be snacking on Tostitos or Doritos or any of that garbage. And when he is eating that, he murdered a bowl of strawberries the other day. I mean, I got 2 pints of strawberries, and it's like, man, they're almost gone. He's like, oh yeah, I hit those strawberries pretty hard the other night. I'm like, hey, that's awesome. Like, I mean, I'm glad to see it. Because what I hate too is, like, I'll buy 2 pints, no one eats them but me, and on day 4, it's like, holy cow, I don't think I could eat another strawberry. And now they start going bad, and I hate, it's just like, man, I wish.
You don't want to waste it.
But yeah, when they're out, not only will I eat it, but my wife will eat it. My son will eat it. My daughter's not here, but if she's here, she would be doing it too.
Well, I know you guys have a like pristine, organized fridge because I've seen it. But like, if Shannon doesn't like leaving things out on the counters like I do, why don't you just put them you might already do this, but in the fridge, like buy different bins and just have all those fruits ready to go in the fridge? Because I know I like tomatoes left out.
The fridge comes with that.
You're not going to put pineapple in the bin. I mean, like little things you can take out and carry with you to your desk. Smarty.
What do you have?
Smarty pants.
What do you have? An ice box from 1920? You got a Frigidaire?
Yeah, so that's another key, a little tip. When you get home from the grocery store, wash all your produce before putting it in your Frigidaire or your ice box, because when it's washed and ready to go, you're more likely to use it. Now, I don't do this every single time, but I do. I don't like seeing it in the bags that it came from, especially after COVID. I got used to it. I was wash everything after COVID. I feel like we're still in COVID, aren't we? I don't know. I guess we are still. But I mean, when I was really watching it, like back then, when you came up from the grocery store, I was washing everything. Well, I really did get in the habit of it during COVID. So now I really do that. I wash everything. I organize my fridge so it's all ready to go. And that's just really, really nice. When you're ready for a salad, you go down and everything's ready and washed. The part that I don't do, which I was going to say, chopping them all up and having them all chopped up and ready to go is nice. I don't do that. I don't know. Some people do, and that's super, super nice. Like if you're going to have a stir fry, come home, you're going to have stir fry that week, chop everything up, get all your veggies ready for your salads during the week. Cause I must eat salads at least 4 times a week, giant salads, but I chop them up right before I make them. If I'm honest, I just don't do that. Maybe I will try to get myself to do that a little bit more, because that would even make it easier. Imagine if you had little bins full of all the chopped veggies and you could just mix and match. Hey, there's an idea. I like to also have I put garbanzo beans in all my salads. So just that one little step of taking them out of the can or the box, rinsing them and putting them a couple of cans into the fridge. So all you do is open that Tupperware and shake them onto your salad, put it right back. Takes 2 seconds. It's just so nice. And getting out the can opener, draining the beans, drying off the beans. Do that on Saturday. Have it ready to go. I mean, I put those garbanzo beans in every salad.
Hey everyone, it's Phil. I just wanted to take a quick break in the discussion to remind everyone that SmartyPlants has 2 great meal plans to offer. The first is our 28-day kickstart, which is for people who are curious about a plant-based diet but really don't know where to begin. It's also for people who have health or weight issues and need some help getting healthy. Our program includes 28 days of carefully planned recipes that are simple to make and super tasty. Things like Caesar salad, nachos, and pizza. It also includes meal prep instructions, a grocery list, and daily lessons on things like stocking a plant-based kitchen, weight loss, and navigating social situations. You'll come out of it a plant-based rock star. If this sounds good to you, you should become one of our Kickstarters. Our second program is our weekly meal plan. This is for people who have the plant-based basics down, but they want tested and trusted delicious recipes each week. Our members receive at least 3 new recipes each week created by our very own SmartyPlants team. Things like pesto lasagna, crunch wraps, French onion, grilled cheese, sauces, mains, sides, desserts, and more. Our meal planners have access to our full recipe database. Our meal planner, where they can customize their meals each week and create a grocery list, meal prep instructions, and great support, of course. Stop downloading random recipes from strangers on the internet and check out our tested and delicious recipes. If this sounds good to you, let us do the heavy lifting for you and become one of our weekly meal planners. For more info, check out our website, SmartyPlants.org, and use the discount code PODCAST2022. That's PODCAST 2022. You'll receive 50% off our 28-day Kickstart or 50% off our weekly meal plan for up to 3 months. Now back to the show.
Another thing that we do is batch cooking. I like to batch cook big batches of certain things like rice or quinoa. If you have that in the fridge all ready to go and cooked, you can use it for bowls and burritos during the week or stir fries. It's already done and ready for you. And we like to make, like, instead of making a small bowl of soup, you make like a big vat of soup or chili that you can eat all week long. And then if you don't eat it, if you're sick of eating pea soup after 2 days, then you just freeze it. And like we said, in individual portions in your freezer. And it's so nice to come back to when you have, frozen meals in the freezer.
I would make sure you just write what it is and the date that you have it on, because sometimes I pull out a bowl, I have no idea what it was or when it was in there, and then you thought, and it's like, what is this? I have no idea what it is.
And how long has it been in there?
Well, when we went plant-based, I didn't know this was going to be a total lifestyle change for me at the time. So we had a ton of stuff that was frozen, where then now we're talking 6 months later, now we've not eaten meat or dairy or anything. Now we're thawing things out. And it's like, it's spaghetti gravy. Does that have meat in it? Like, we're not sure. It's like, throw it out. We had no idea. So now we've learned to really mark everything. And sometimes it'll be, this is for the kids. This has, this has cheese in it, or, whatever it is, but we'll put, plant-based gravy, plant-based, soup, whatever.
That's a really great tip with the date, because I've pulled so many things out, like, how long has this been in there? I don't know. And it's not like we have to really worry. It's just not going to taste good. It's going to be watery, or, like even plant-based foods, it'll just get mushy, or you don't want to eat it after it's been in there for however many months. Also, batch cooking veggie burgers. Like, I make my own veggie burgers, and we'll have 2 or 3 of them, and the recipe makes 8. Throw them in the freezer, just pack them up well, put them in the freezer, put a label on them with the date. And then you could pull them out one by one and have veggie burgers on the weekends. Those are always awesome to have in the freezer. Roasted veggies. I like to batch cook a bunch of veggies because it's so easy. As long as you're chopping things up, get home from the grocery store, buy a bunch of like sweet potatoes, carrots, potatoes, broccoli, cauliflower, toss them up with some spices and throw them in the oven. And then you could just go on and do other things, and those are just roasting away. And then you have them ready to go for bowls during the week. I love putting roasted sweet potato chunks in my grain bowls, or even in my salads. You could chop them up for tacos during the week or stir fries. I actually like to snack on roasted veggies. I do. I get a big bowl of veggies, zap it in the microwave, and whatever sauce I have in the fridge, just drizzle it on. It's delicious. That's what I love about this way of eating too. Any combination of things just is always delicious. I don't know. I just mix and match everything. And then I forget what I do, because I want to kind of turn it into a meal for our meal planners. And then I forget. It's like, that was so good. I just did that with our peanut ginger sauce. I started putting that stuff on everything. I'm like, that could be a delicious meal. I hope someone's thinking to do this.
Well, and then we see in the group, people are doing that. It's like, oh, I had the leftover nacho crema and I put it on this. It was delicious. So it is great to see that stuff happen, because that happens all the time with me as well. And then it's like, do I try to make a meal out of this, or did I just leave it as a thrown together meal that I had? Yeah, I think
Exactly.
Kim she used that the gravy from the Italian beef and made a soup out of it with the white beans. It looked
That
delicious.
sounded so good, because we both know what that tastes like with the white beans. That was genius. I was like, I'm trying that.
Yeah, but and then it's inspiring, because I do the same thing. Like when when I'll make a mental note, or I'll like have that idea. It's like, man, that Italian beef gravy is so good. What if we made this into a soup? And then I do try it that way, not with that specific one. I'm stealing Kim's idea here, but in the end, sometimes that's how a meal comes together, and it's just you're creating your own meal at that point. She could name that soup. That could be the Kim Kenny Keenan.
Let's do it. I've always wanted to do that. Name it after our meal planners. I'm about to start using Mary's photos, because she's such a good photographer. Her photos are so much better than some of ours that we have. But yeah, I think that'd be fun.
Sure. So another thing that works out well is as I try to have meals that overlap a little bit. So if I make something like I just made a seitan roast the other day, then I saw someone made fun of me. I don't know if you saw that, Sue Aleda. She's like,
No.
I made a comment and she's like, and she put it in quotes and she wrote Saytan. Seitan, you mean?
Did you say Satan again? Shoot, I didn't watch your video yet. That when you were making it, I know you made a video.
Oh,
Of you
I
making it.
try. Well, even in my notes, I write Saytan. So I say,
That's good.
I don't know why I say Satan. I'm not sure.
You got that stuck in your head, Satan.
That's what it looks like to me.
So fancy.
But that's what you get, I mean, that's what I like to do as well. So at the beginning of the week, I'll say, all right, I'm going to make a seitan roast and I'm going to make those Italian beef sandwiches. And then on Thursday, I'll follow it up with this meal and I'll use that as well. Make sandwiches, whatever that is. So now I've got two things out of it, or I'm going to slice it and freeze it and use it in another meal down the road, as well. But I try to, to get meals that I can kind of get 2 meals out of with that one ingredient. Or if it's a dressing, hey, we're going to have Caesar wraps today, and then I'll make the Caesar salad on Thursday, or whatever.
Right.
So you're kind of pre-planning a couple meals using one of those ingredients as a main time saver for the next meal.
And we try to put that in the bottom of our recipes in the meal plan. Like, you're going to have leftovers, because just remember, we're cooking all our components. So you are going to have leftovers on some of the components. We just can't do the math and make everything balance out perfectly to use every drop of every single component, but it's a good thing. And you'll get to know this after you start cooking this way. You will love having, even if it's a half a cup of crumbles, I'll throw them on a salad later. I save everything. Even if I have a drop of anything left, I'll save it, because it's so good to mix and match this stuff. So we don't care if there's leftovers. We actually want there to be leftovers, because this is how we eat. We're eating all the same stuff, mixing and matching all of it. So it's always great to have leftovers. So you'll see that at the bottom of our recipes that we write, hey, this is good to also use in this dish. Or if you have leftover cheese sauce, add it to this dish. This is great to put in wraps or in salads, sandwiches. So we give you ideas, but yeah, it's just any combination usually works of any of this stuff. Another great thing to batch cook are baked potatoes. I said roasted veg, but baked potatoes, sweet potatoes. If you're making one, you could make 4 or 6 and have them in the fridge. I like having sweet potatoes baked already in my fridge, so I could just throw maybe some frozen broccoli on it, zap it in the microwave, and whatever cheese sauce I have in the fridge, drizzle over it. It's delicious. I just did that with the peanut ginger sauce. Who knew peanut ginger sweet potatoes would be good? They were delicious. Hummus is another one. Make a double batch of hummus. Keep that in the fridge all week to snack on. If you have a salad, put a dollop in your salad, put a dollop in your sweet potato. It all works. Just a couple other things that are good. And I see that our meal planners make, like vanilla nut crunch. That's one of our delicious granolas. Our peanut butter crunch is another one just to have in bags. You could take it with you, eat in the car when you're going on, all your errands. Banana muffins for breakfast, pumpkin bread. I like to have our baked tortilla chips to snack on before dinner, salsa or guacamole with our baked tortilla chips, or our pita crunchers, which are our baked pita chips for hummus. So just do some batch cooking before you start your week, and just that's what makes this doable. It just makes your week a lot easier. I know you like to make your dressings and your oats.
Again, that was really something I just never did before, and now I see the benefits of just being able to, especially like having a Caesar dressing. And it's like, okay, I can have a salad, I can put it on a potato, I can do a few different things, even if I don't have a definite plan. It's like, all right, well, I'm just going to make one anyway, just so it's in the fridge. And then by the end of the week, it's like, I better have a salad because I didn't get to it for a meal. And it is a little different with us just because we are testing a lot of new recipes. It's not like I can squeeze a Caesar dressing in all the time. But yeah, I mean, when I'm doing that, yeah, it makes it so much easier when it's just on hand, ready to go. I know it's going to last for about a week. So I got a week to either have it for dinner or for lunch.
Yeah, it just when you have a nice dressing, like I said, I have so many sauces because we're testing them, and you guys in the meal plan, that we always have new sauces and dressings. So I always have at least 2 or 3 in my fridge that I mix and match, but have them in there. It's just so nice, and it takes seconds. Find a nice. You see me using my juice bottles that we used to drink these juices. We haven't for a long time, but I have so many of these bottles from the past that Phil has a couple of them too. They're just so nice to put dressings in. So we have these nice glass juice bottles that we put our dressings in. screw tops, just put them in in your fridge, ready to go. So when you're batch cooking, cook what takes the longest first. Get the roasted vegetables in the oven. 1, 2, 3, cut them up, toss them with spices, get them in the oven. Those take an hour. As that's going, start your other stuff. If you have other things to bake, get those ready. So your oven's already on. So now when your roasted veggies come out of the oven, you toss in your granola. And as those are baking, make your sauce, which takes 10 minutes. Make a couple of sauces, get your overnight oats going, make those for the week. Cook like that so you have a plan, and it takes less time.
I did learn a good lesson from mom when she would do like a Thanksgiving, and she'd have like a little notepad, and it would be like 1:00, put on turkey, 1:30, start sweet potatoes. I do that all the time, even with the regular dinner. If there's multiple components that need to be made, I'll time them out. So I'll look at the recipe and say, okay, this one is going to take 40 minutes. This one's going to take an hour. This one's going to take 20. So it's like, okay, the hour one you start with first, like you just said. And then, so I'm going to start dinner at 1:00. 1:00, start this one. 1:30, start making this. 1:45, start making that. So you can kind of stay on track, because timing is everything. And I've been, either eating at people's houses or wherever, where things, and it's happened to me as well, where if I don't time it, it's like, shoot, I thought this was going to take longer. Now the noodles are going to be cold by the time that the sauce is done, or whatever it is. Or I've been at people's houses where it's like, all right, this is ice cold, the side dish is ice cold, and then this is piping hot because it just came out,
came
out of the thing. So timing is key. But I not only do I write it down if there's a lot of things, I use my phone a lot, and I'll just set timers for, and that's what makes it great. I can plan my whole thing out with timers. It's like, all right, 1:00 start, and I'll just type it in, start this. 1:05, put on this. 1:10, do this. So it's like, for that next hour, it's prompting me on what to do, and so hopefully it all comes out exactly at the same time.
Yeah, that's a really good tip. And I always use my phone for all the timers. I even use when we're doing our recipes, I use the the stopwatch. Yeah. I even time it on the stopwatch. I set a couple of timers.
Well, I do that. Yeah. When we're creating recipes.
When you're creating them. Yeah.
Yeah. Because it'd be like, all right, start sauteing. And it's like,
exactly.
hit the mark, stop sauteing.
Because we have to be conscious of how long it takes. So it's like, I don't know how long it takes. I used to go, oh, it's 1:05. Okay. How long? It's like, I need to know exactly start to finish.
I do the same thing.
Another tip is, for it to taste best, reheat it how it was cooked. So if it was baked, like a baked potato, reheat it in the oven. If it was a soup, reheat it on the stove. I mean, yes, we can use the microwaves, but I'm just saying, for best quality, keep that little tip in mind, because baked potato is always going to taste best if you rebake it, if you want that baked. That being said, I microwave everything. So it's fast, it's easy, but
I do try to heat things up on the stove, things like sauces and stuff, rather than, because the microwave doesn't cook things evenly either. It's like everything's super, scorching on the outside and not quite cooked on the inside. Then you have to keep stirring. Yeah, when it's on the stove, you just stir it back up. But you're right, that things like that, I try to maintain the way they were made, from the initially.
It's just good to keep it in mind, especially something like let's say our breaded soy curls. They're nicely crisped up in the oven, and when they come out, they're awesome. And then if you put them in the microwave, they could get a little bit soggy, So if you just think about it, put it back in the toaster oven. If you only have a couple, toast them back up.
Yeah, keep track of like that, because sometimes then you're baking them again. It's like, don't put them in for another 40 minutes.
Not that long.
Yeah, just a little bit to crisp them back up. So another thing I like to do, and I talk about this a lot when I'm doing lives and things, is just doubling things up. If I know I'm making, especially like sausage crumbles or gravy, soups, things like that, I will make it doubled, sometimes triple, it just depends. Like soup, I know if it's going to be good, I'm going to portion this out, so I know I'll have a couple of meals out of that. I know with the sausage crumbles, I'm going to be able to just go to it and grab some when I need it, So I'm very good at doubling things up. When you do, just be careful. I know, like making those crumbles, it definitely changes the time, like when you have to cook things. So instead of the typical, I think it's 40 or 50 minutes, the one batch, 2 batches is like an hour 15, hour and a half. Mm-hmm. So you just have to be careful of the cook times and things like that when you are doubling some of the stuff, especially when you're baking and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
dressings, sauces. I know if we're having company. Sometimes I know we're having company and I'm just going to want leftovers. I don't know how much people are going to eat. If we have way too much left over, I'll send home, like with my brother leaves, I know he's taking food with him every time he comes, but I may not want to give it all,
I may want some for myself.
There's only a little left. And he's just like, hey, can I grab the leftovers? And it's like, shoot, I was going to have those for lunch tomorrow. But no, I'll give them away because I have plenty of stuff. But so then I will like double up. Or the last time he was here, I made kind of 2 batches of the meal because I knew my wife wasn't here. She was coming home, and he was here, was going to take food, with him. So double up a lot of stuff. Not only does it save me time when it's time to eat, but it saves the cook time as well. I mean, I'm essentially, it doesn't take me any more time to cook 2 meals at once.
Right.
But if I were to make that again, it's the same amount of time. So if I'm spending a half an hour putting something together, if I'm cooking 2 batches, it's the same half hour. If I'm making them 2 different times, now it's taking me an hour to do that. Not to mention on the back end, if it's like a meal, like a soup or something, I don't have to cook dinner. So it's like I'm saving twice as much time.
I have to get used to doing this more. I have to train myself. Like I said, we do a lot of cooking, but as long as I'm making the crumbles, make 2 batches. I just don't think about it. I need to do this more often because it's just, you are saving yourself and then you're going to have it. Like I love having all the stuff in the fridge or just freezing it. As long as you're going through the effort of making it and, delving out all those spices and just making the whole thing, make 2. Why not?
I know someone had posted that tip as well. If you're making like a spice blend, because like the taco seasoning, just in like one of the meals, just to make a spice bag. So you're putting it in the recipe and then you're putting it in the bag for the next time. So next time all the spices are already blended into a bag and then all you have to do is dump it right in. You don't even have to pull out and again, it doesn't save a ton of time, but it saves a little of time. And obviously, if the worst thing for me is like, oh, I'm going to make tacos tonight, and I get everything ready, and I got the taco, the tofu pressed, and I have the onions cut, and now I'm getting the spices out, and it's like, oh, I'm short on I have no cumin left. And it's like, oh man, everything's on the counter, and then I got to run to the store. So that's a great way to avoid anything like that, where you already have the spice bag, all set and ready to go.
That is such a great idea. Well, because especially like a spice blend, like we just did our Cajun blend and I don't remember, but say there's 8 to 10 spices making up a Cajun blend spice mix. So I have it and I always save my extra spice little glass jars when I run out because we're making our own spice blends now. So I'll just get a marker and write on there Cajun. And it's nice because so once you make it, just make double. So you have a nice shaker of Cajun. We have a couple of these now. We have like Jamaican jerk, we have Cajun, we have everything but the bagel. Yep. So I love that tip. Another thing that can be challenging is coming up with ideas for what to make. We always try to build up our like Taco Tuesday night or pizza night. I know that we humans like routines and we like things to look forward to. So it's fun to look forward to Taco Tuesday. It's fun to look forward to pizza night. Friday night just turns into pizza night. I know Frank's coming home and he's like, we having pizza tonight? It's just fun. I love tacos. I could eat tacos more than once a week. Once a week, for sure, I want tacos. Once a week, for sure, I want pizza. And we mix it up a little bit. We'll have different types of pizza for sure. In our house, it's depending on whatever I have left over. I'm putting on the pizza on Friday night. Tacos, we might not have tacos. We might have tostadas. We might have nachos. We might have anything taco themed, the taquitos. It's just fun to have a theme and something to plan for.
Every time I go to the store, now I have a habit of buying cilantro, lime, and avocado, just knowing that we're probably going to have something for Taco Tuesday. They're revolving around, either having guacamole on the side or just having those components in some sort of dish.
And that's exactly what I'm talking about. Once you get used to eating this way, you may right now buy your guacamole all the time. You may just buy it. And well, I've said this before, I love our guac. It's so delicious. And it's like just a few ingredients. When you know that you could whip up a quick guacamole and it's going to be so delicious and enhance whatever you're making, you're going to just buy it. And you're not going to let those avocados go bad. You're going to put them on toast if you don't eat them, if you don't make the guacamole or, whatever you're doing with it. Chop up the cilantro and put it in a stir fry, chop up the cilantro and throw it on anything that you're making, that any taco dish that you're making. You just start shopping this way and buying these things because you're going to be using them. I do the same thing with those ingredients, especially when my daughter's home, because guacamole is one of her favorite things to eat. So we make a lot of that around here.
Yeah, I mean, everyone eats it here, so I know it's, and my son will do it where he's like, "We got any guacamole?" And he knows we don't. It's like, no, but I can whip some up. He's like, "Oh, could you?" But same thing with my wife. It was about a week ago, and she was just we didn't have anything for dinner, and I said, I'm just going to make baked potatoes," and she was like, "Yeah, that's fine." She's like, "Oh, do we have any sour cream?" And I'm like, or cashew cream, and I'm like, "No." And she's like, "Oh, shoot." I'm just like, I'll make it in like 2 minutes. Like I have everything here. I got the cashews and the, frozen. They take literally minutes to make here. So yeah, she's like, "Well, okay, if it doesn't take that long." It's like, that's part of the whole thing. It's like, because before it'd be like, "Oh, it's not made." And if I pre-made it, yeah, then it would be done and it would be super easy. But even when I don't, the components are there. I've already soaked the cashews and frozen. So all I have to do is thumb, and then everything else is just putting it in a blender and blending it up. So it's super easy. But yeah, 5 minutes later, and it's like, all right, well, we didn't have just a dry potato. We had the sour cream potato, and it was delicious.
And like, that's just another tip, soaking your cashews and putting them in the freezer, because for a lot of these sauces, you do need 30 minutes to soak them just so they get nice and soft and they blend easier. So that might be a deterrent if you're like, "Well, I don't have 30 minutes. So I got to soak my cashews." I just know how my mind works. It's like, but Phil soaks them all right when he gets home. After he buys them, he soaks them and he divvies them up in different batches, however you do it. And then they're ready to go. So he can just make that sauce immediately. So that's what we're saying. Make your life easier. You have to pre-plan and prep a little bit just so you have them ready to go, because we know how we are. If it's going to be any bit of a hassle, we might not do it. So he's making it really easy on himself. So when Shannon wants cashew cream, he can just whip it up. He hops to it.
Happy,
Done.
happy wife, happy life.
Yeah. And, just having all the ingredients probably naturally on hand, because like I said, we cook this way all the time. So he's going to have lemons. He's going to have nutritional yeast. He's going to have
apple cider vinegar,
salt. We're going to have all the stuff anyway, because you're going to always have it stocked. You won't come to my house and never really find me without apple cider vinegar. It's my favorite vinegar. We put it in so many different things. It's so good for you. And I buy it in bulk. So I have that, at least I have stocked in my pantry, which is nice. And we were talking about avocados. One little tip that I like to do is those leftover avocados. If you can't use them all, if you're not making guacamole and you're just slicing them up for sandwiches, if you have like a half leftover, if you just take the half with the pit in it and plop it in a glass of water and put it in the fridge, that will stay fresh for days. And I know not many people know this. It's like they just go bad, or you just try to use them up, but just try it. The outer layer is a little mushy, a tiny bit mushy. It doesn't turn brown though. You just scrape it off. If it's too mushy for you, it's wet. You pull it out of the water. Obviously, it's a little bit wet, but it is fresh and it will stay like that for a few days.
You can also freeze avocados. Did you know that?
I've never tried it. You told me that once.
Yep. Because when they're on sale, avocados, man, the price fluctuation on those avocados is crazy. And at my store, They have big avocados and they're like $3 each or $2 something each. And then they have small avocados that are like, sometimes they're only 80 cents. So it's like, geez, I'm not going to buy the big ones. I'll buy a couple of small ones. But then I might buy 6 of them. We use 3, right? And then I don't eat it for toast. And at the end of the week, they're starting to go bad. And it's like, before they go bad, they could just pop them right in the freezer or in the water if I know that I'm going to have them in the next couple of days. But
wait, do you pop the whole avocado uncut in the freezer?
Yep.
And then what do you do when you take them out of the freezer? Just let them thaw?
Yeah.
Oh, and you slice into them and they're fine.
Yeah.
I can't wait to try that. I didn't know that. I was thinking you cut them up and put them in the freezer.
Yeah, I mean, and if you buy them, I would try and catch them before they're going bad. Because if they're going bad,
they could already be bad.
Yeah, right. You're freezing them that bad. They're not going to be better when they come out of.
Miraculously, they're fresh again. Wow, this is some trick.
God, I wish that's how things work.
Another trick is for carrots, I like to do is put them in a glass container in water in the fridge. Don't just keep them in your bag in the crisper, wherever you keep your carrots. Put them in water. As soon as you get home from the store, rinse them off, put them in a Tupperware or whatever, glass jar. No, not a jar. Container, a glass container, and fill it up with water, nice and fresh, and they will stay crisp forever. They will. You'll just be shocked. Open it up in a week and they'll still be crisp. But really, it's best to change the water after 5 days. But take a bite after 5 days, they're going to be crispy, crunchy. Carrots to me aren't good when they start to go soft and they start to get bendy. I don't like them like that.
I gotta say, they do last for a pretty long time on their own.
Yeah.
If you get the big, like I buy bigger carrots a lot, just big carrots, but they stay for a long time. I'm surprised.
They do. True. And then we like to suggest shopping on Saturday, maybe prepping on Sunday. It's nice to use a day like Sunday if you don't work on Sundays to carve out some time to do this batch cooking. Put on some music, carve out a few hours and make it kind of fun. Get some help from your family if they can help you, and chopping
and that is part of what we do with the meal plan is we put out a kind of a prep instructions so you can kind of prep some things for the week and just make your week easy. And for as much as sometimes it's like, oh, I'm going to have an easy week, I don't need to do it. Things come up, then it's like, man, I wish I would have done this. I wish I would have just prepped a few things. But so we have some prep notes and things like that where you can get ready for the week, the week to come.
Hey, everybody. So we had so many tips and tricks to talk about today that we had to split them up into 2 episodes. So tune in next week for part 2 of tips and tricks. We talk about money saving tips. We all like to save money. We have so many ideas on how you can do that we're going to share with you. We talk about how not to waste those ingredients that you only need little bits of for recipes, like tomato paste, coconut milk, lime juice. No more wasting leftovers. We talk about using veggie scraps for composting, making our own veggie broth, browning mushrooms and onions without oil, tips for measuring out ingredients, helpful kitchen gadgets, and the only 3 knives you'll ever need. So thanks for listening today. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope you'll take with you a few tips to make cooking easier and more enjoyable. Please don't forget to subscribe to our podcast. It only takes a few seconds. It's free, and this will really help us keep the podcast going. Thanks so much, and I will see you next week.